Hey guys, it's Matt again. Um, Tonight I'm going to be going over the equipment I've already showed you, some new equipment, some new additives, and we're going to be stirring now it's wine because it started fermenting. So we're going to stir that mixture. So yours should already be fermenting if you're following along. And you'll be able to see because it's bubbling. And that means it is fermenting because the yeast is eating the sugar, producing alcohol, letting off CO2, and it's going through the water. The yeast I used, admittedly, was a little bit old, so that's why I didn't do a video yesterday. I'm doing one today because it took a little bit longer to start the fermentation. But the biggest thing you have to be aware of in winemaking is you got to be patient. If something isn't going the way you want it to, and you are going to encounter problems, it happens to everybody, sometimes you just got to give it a little time. You have to be patient. So for when we rack it into our secondary, if you remember, you're going to need your hydrometer and your test tube so we can check specific gravity. You can buy a thing called a wine thief to take wine out, but a turkey baster works just as well. And then you're also going to need a number 7 bung, which you're going to put in the top of the carboy. And then you're going to need your, either get like a regular racking cane or the auto siphon. Now, in the last video I didn't show putting yeast nutrient into the mixture. You don't have to use yeast nutrient, but it's basically vitamins for yeast. You know, you don't have to take vitamins, but it's good for you. And I've done it both ways, but I always use yeast nutrient now. So a couple things that you want to think about starting to get in. One is wine bottles. Now, I've never bought any wine bottles ever. I get them for free. Go to your local wineries, local Italian restaurants, Olive Garden, ask them for their empty wine bottles. Usually they'll give them to you. Just be sure that when you get your wine bottles home, rinse them out. Because if you leave them sit and a little bit of wine at the bottom, it will start growing mold. And then most times you can't get it out, or it's very hard to get it out. And then, you know, when you go to bottle, you will sanitize them. So it's not a big problem. You're going to need a clearing agent, because when the wine's done fermenting, you clear it and then you stabilize it. And you can use stuff like bentonite for clearing, which is basically dried clay, and you mix it with water, you stick it in there, and then you mix it in, and then it draws the negative or positive ions down and it clears the wine. So that's something you can use. There's also a great thing called Super Clear, which I like to use. It works really well. And you can pick it up for just a couple bucks a pack, and that will clear your wine awesome. And you're also going to need some stuff called potassium sorbate. This stuff is expensive and about the size of the bottle that I showed you with the yeast nutrient, and that can cost, you know, anywhere from $5 to $7 a bottle. I got a pound off of it off of eBay for 11 bucks. So it's pretty, you know, cheap if you do your shopping around. And you're also going to need to get some wine corks. I picked these up in my local wine shop. I think they're 25 cents a piece. These are just your most basic standard size wine corks. There's all different kinds of sizes, but you can get whatever you need. And later on I'll show you a few more pieces of equipment when we get closer to bottling, but for now, those are those things you want to start getting together within the next 1 to 3 months, because you're going to need them. A wine corker. You're going to need a wine corker of some type. And you can spend as little or as much money as you want on a wine corker. This wine corker you can find anywhere from $15 to $70. You can spend up to a couple $100 on a floor corker. I did my research and I found this on eBay for 17 bucks. So very cheap. You just gotta look around for values. Same place that will charge 50 bucks and I got it for 17. So just look around. So those are items you want to start getting together for later on down the process. But from when you transfer your primary to your secondary, you're just going to need like the siphon, your hydrometer, your test tube, your bung, and your bubbler. So let's go ahead and stir our wine now. And that should be about it for tonight. That's all we really need to do. But like I said, you always need to sanitize anything you stick in your wine. So I got my bottle of Camden water here. Put a little bit of that in a paper towel. Run that over everything. There, so that's all good and sanitized. Take my bubbler out. Open up my wine. Oh, I can already smell the yeast and the alcohol. And I even got it all the way open yet. So there we go. And just stir that around for about a minute or so to get it nice and oxygenated. And you'll see it'll start to froth up. Stir up all the stuff on the bottom because there's probably yeast sediment, dead yeast on the bottom. Stir all that stuff up.
It's almost 8 minutes now.
Just put that back on there. Sure it's nice and tight. Put your bubbler back in. And that's it.
So at this point you do want to make sure it's on tight?
Yes. And that's all that we're doing tonight, and then I'll see you again after about 7 days, and we'll transfer it from the primary to the secondary. Like I said, everything in winemaking, almost everything, is subjective. I know people that leave their wine in there, the primary fermenter, for 30 days. I regularly do it right around 7 days, 10 days, somewhere in there. But I'll see you then, and we'll rack the primary into the secondary. See you later.